I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, as is normally the case on the first commissioners meeting of the new year.
Do the swearing in first.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask for a motion to elect a new chair of this board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move that Commissioner Freeman become the chair.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No discussion?
Nope.
So hang on a minute, before we do the whole dance, we have a little something for you. So has become a tradition, as we take just a minute to thank our outgoing chair, who in just a few short years gets to be our incoming chair. There's only 3 of us and we rotate. We'd like to just take a few minutes and thank you for some of the incredible difficult work of being the chair of this board is. It's one of the hardest things is simply running these meetings in a way that allows people to interact with their government and do the people's work. So thank you for doing that work. You also have a whole host of liaison assignments and tasks that you work on every single day. But most notably this year, you deciding to take on the fundraising efforts and helping coordinate the Wreaths Across America event was incredibly beneficial to the people of this county and specifically to our veteran community. So I wanted to thank you for that. We got you just a little gift here that sort of reminds us of you and helps reflect sort of who you are in the tradition of our bobbleheads that we've been giving folks. This is your special bobblehead.
That's awesome.
That is a bobblehead of Commissioner Boyce in an airplane with Bella on the back, and Bella has a ball in her mouth. So thank you again for your work. I want to thank Tamara and Kelly for helping us with this particular gift. It's pretty unique. And my guess is if you were to go look on the bobblehead website, this would be one of the samples now they're going to use to sell bobbleheads. So it's a pretty cool one. So again, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Bella's head doesn't bobble.
Actually, he already moved, Tim.
Oh, when did they get moved?
He just did it.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, you were talking like normal.
Okay. All right. We'll go back to agenda item number 1, and that is the swearing in of our treasurer, Sam Lee. And I'd invite Dan Loomis, the newly sworn in, re-sworn in, Douglas County Clerk, please.
It's fine.
She can't take pictures.
Everybody make sure you look happy to be here.
Find out how you feel. Well, law says that our term of office doesn't begin until we take that oath, so let's do that. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sam Lee,
Do solemnly swear to support and defend
do solemnly swear to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and honorably
and that I will faithfully and honorably
carry out the duties of
carry out the duties of
Douglas County Treasurer.
Douglas County Treasurer.
I wanted to say clerk. To which I have been elected,
To which I have been elected,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, get up here.
We gotta do all this thing.
Get up here.
I got it.
Thank you. And time for.
Oh, you need a signature?
Yeah, okay.
You're all signing.
I thought we could do this online.
That was it.
You probably can, Sam. Schedule a Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Great, so the next agenda item is the consent agenda, and we have a few more things than usual, but I wanna remind everybody the last 2 Wednesdays were holidays, so we haven't had a meeting in a few weeks, so I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second, questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 4 is citizens' questions and comments on agenda items. We have anybody online? I did kind of receive some questions about the Title III stuff, and I'll cover those when we get to that agenda item. So seeing that, we'll move on to agenda item number 5. And this is a county council item. I'll invite our Douglas County Council, Tiffany, to let us know what this one's about.
Tiffany Podlesnik, County Council. This is an order that delegates authority to the new Fairgrounds Director, Sierra Keith, to enter into contracts on behalf of Douglas County with an effective date of January 1, 2025.
To approve the delegation order.
I'll second.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments? I would note that this is past practice and normal practice for us.
Yes.
All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 6 is emergency management. I'll invite up Douglas County Emergency Manager Emily Ring. Good morning.
Good morning. Emily Ring, Douglas County Emergency Manager. This item is to request approval to accept the grant agreement award from OEM. It's an annual grant that we are eligible so long as we maintain certain standards, certain trainings and certifications that the Office of Emergency Management at the state level verifies annually. We are eligible again this year. This is an amount that continues to decline, unfortunately, but that's something at the federal and state level. We continue to try to pursue it. It offsets my personnel costs at my department, but it does require a 50% match from the county.
Move to approve the grant agreement.
And I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
A quick comment for those watching or in the audience, OEM here stands for, Oregon Emergency Management and not, original equipment manufacturer, which it does in some.
That's true.
I'm sorry, we
Yeah.
should probably not use acronyms.
Yeah, sorry,
It's-
thank you.
It's my first day as chair, so I'll do better.
You're doing great. Thank you.
So motion and second, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 7 is a juvenile department, and I'll invite up Corey Tate, our local public safety coordinating council director.
Good morning. Thank you. Yes, Corey Tate, LIPSIT Coordinator and housed in Juvenile Department. Before you, you have an Oregon Criminal Justice Commission grant, number JMD-25-08. This is also known as the MAT grant, which is Medication Assisted Therapy. It's in the amount of $369,290 for the period of 10/1/24 to 9/30/25. This funding will be used to provide opioid use disorder treatment and transition planning services in our Douglas County Jail, and it's provided through WellPath, which is our jail medical provider.
So let me make sure I understand what we're doing.
Yes,
This is simply taking the grant. This is not the contract with WellPath.
correct.
That'll be a different agenda item. You're just
That's already
explaining.
been approved elsewhere through the sheriff's office.
Okay,
This is
but
just the
my point
grant
is
strictly.
this particular item is simply the acceptance of the grant. It's not a contract with WellPath.
Correct.
So everybody knows what we're doing?
And I would approve that acceptance of that grant.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Questions or comments? I am gonna abstain on this because I am on the Criminal Justice Commission and we approve the grant on the other side. So I don't receive any personal benefit, but just out of an abundance of caution, I try to abstain on these. So I'll call for the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
And again, I will be abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is a management and finance item. I'll invite up the county CFO, Dan Wilson.
Morning Commissioners, Dan Wilson, Management and Finance. Item number 8 is a board order amending and obligating Title III funding, previously unspent funds, new projects, as well as obligating previously unobligated funding to new Title III projects.
I move to approve the board order.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Questions or comments?
Did you do it?
Yeah, I've got a few comments to make. So, Title III funding is a component of the Secure Rural Schools Act program that's been in place since 2000. And in the number of years, the 25 years now that act has been around, there has been many different iterations of funding and allowable uses and ways to account for and ways to go through a process of obligating these funds and spending them. This is my short sheet book on Title III. The real books are stacks and stacks. It's incredibly confusing. For the purpose of a quick sort of summary, there's new Title III and old Title III. And that's probably the easiest way to say it. Douglas County being the #1 secure rural school receiving county in the nation also meant we were the #1 Title III receiving county in the nation. So we had for the longest time of any county, the old Title III dollars, which had a much different additional uses that they could qualify to use this money for. Those dollars have all been obligated and are all gone. So now everything we're doing is strictly around the new Title III dollars. But even within the new Title III dollars, there's been a couple changes in the way the uses that can be used for that are beneficial, and some of them are in today's agenda item, including some of the wildfire protection plan uses. We were able to get into the allowable uses, the carrying out of or the implementation of the wildfire protection plan. So that took an act of Congress. Douglas County, along with many partners, worked to get that done. So there's lots of complications in this. There is processes in getting the dollars obligated. So not only do you have to make sure the projects qualify, you have to follow a process which is pretty in-depth. It includes a notification to the public that has been posted for a certain number of days. We've gone through all that. We've gotten all the feedback on that. There was some feedback that we received after the notification period had elapsed, but I'm gonna go ahead and comment on those just as a point to make sure everybody understands. There was a question about using some Title III dollars to do some maintenance or upgrades in one of our parks. And I'd like to have Dan explain to us why that would not be an allowable use.
So under Title III, as Commissioner Freeman spoke, there are four broad or very narrow categories, I wouldn't use the word broad, for use on federal lands. And none of those apply to parks or general county use.
Recreation stuff, okay.
Very, very specific to.
So the short summary of that is that the project that was being asked about funding in a park doesn't qualify. It was not presented as a project through the process, which it would have been even if it had qualified. And because it's not federal lands or it's not associated or access or services to federal lands, it doesn't qualify.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Everybody clear? Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Agenda item number 9 is also a finance item. Dan?
Yes, again, Dan Wilson, Management and Finance. Agenda number 9 is a contract agreement between Douglas County and PacWest Communications for consulting services.
Move to approve the contract.
And I'll second that.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments? I know we all work with these folks on this. One of the successes last year that we can point to for the investment here was the funding for the state veterans home. That was one of our priorities, so that $35 million the state has in place, this group to help us work with, and there's lots of other examples of that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 10 is a public works item, and I see we have Josh Heacock here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Heacock, Public Works. Agenda item number 10 is a final acceptance order of a contract between Douglas County and Jesse Rodriguez Construction LLC. This is for our Winchester Bay Sewer and Water Improvements Project, number 11112. The total contract amount is $2,502,660.39.
To approve the final acceptance order.
I'll second.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments?
Make one quick comment.
Please.
This is $2.5 million that we spent out of industrial development on an infrastructure project at the coast that was really for the city of Reedsport water system, an upgrade, and was designed to help provide stability in the water delivery system to the folks that live up by the lighthouse on the hill up there. They had major influxes in water pressure at their homes. Sometimes the faucet wouldn't even come on if they were in a high use situation. That infrastructure improvement project also allows for future development, which is started on Monday, for us to expand our parks operations in that area in the future also. So they have a new and increased water capacity out there that was much needed.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 11 is a public works item. And Josh, I guess you're doing this one too?
Yep. Josh Heacock, Public Works. Again, this is another final acceptance order. This one is for the contract between Douglas County and Carter and Company Incorporated for our Rice Creek Bridge replacement. This is on Wills Creek Road, County Road number 43 at milepost 1.41, project number 11040. This total contract amount was $2,587,841.12.
Move to approve the final order.
And I'll second that.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments?
Just quick comment on, I don't know that I'll ever get used to that fact that how from the beginning of the first time we do one of these bridge, it comes across the board to the final acceptance, how long that is.
Yeah.
It's years.
It's a long time. Yeah. It's
I was gonna make a similar comment that at any given time, you have quite a few projects going on, quite a few bridge projects going on. We've ramped that up in the recent years, but for us, through the budget process and the contracting process, we kind of get to that point where the bridge is started, but there's a lot of work that goes on till we get to this final acceptance piece, and it just takes a while. So thank you guys for tracking that and getting it through the process. And I do think it's important that we're doing what we can to replace some of these bridges, so nice job. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 12 is Public Works Fleet, and Omar Assad's here. Good morning.
Good morning, County Board of Commissioners. My name is Omar Assad, Public Works Fleet Division Manager. Before you have an order authorizing Peterson Equipment to rebuild the 836G compactor at an estimated cost of $455,137.61. Included in the deal is a buyback of the 836K compactor that they've quoted us $205,000 for the buyback, for a total spend of $250,137.61.
Move to approve the order.
And I'll second.
I think it might be a contract, not an order authorizing purchase.
It is a contract.
Move to approve the contract.
And I'll second the contract.
I apologize, did I say contract in there?
No, I think we might have it wrong on here, so
Move to approve the purchase.
there you go.
And I'll second.
it's a board order approving the contract.
Approving the
We've got everybody covered that way, so, thank you for doing this, and also, I'm assuming this is to be used at the solid waste landfill?
Yes, it is at the landfill.
Perfect. Any questions or comments?
My understanding, and I get this right, the K compactor we're getting rid of is a newer model, but much more fraught with problems than
Correct.
the G, in which the G could be made into something that resembles a
Yes, the K is a
take
2000.
the American flag on it, it'll be a great,
Yes.
like our,
The
right?
K is a 2013, the G is in 2001. We have twice the operating cost and maintenance on the K than we did the G, with the G having more than twice the amount of hours on it. For the rebuild of the G, to give us longevity of it sitting there as a backup machine without the emissions on it, is what saves us the cost in the long run.
I just, the reason I brought it up, so I wanted to really thank you for making that, you know, this whole nexus happen rather than just sitting on that K that was down all the time. It's great that we actually got some money out of it.
Good job. Other questions or comments? So now I'll call a question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 13 is the solid waste department, we were just talking about. Nick, come on up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Freisinger, Solid Waste Department Director. Item number 13 is a leachate conveyance agreement for contract number 30002454 between Douglas County and Green Area Water and Sanitary Authority for use of its conveyance lines and offload facilities on an as-needed basis.
Move to approve the agreement.
I'll second.
A motion, a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Gentlemen, I have one quick off-agenda item, and this really has been facilitated out of the normal process of starting budgeting at the first of the year. So I'm the liaison to the finance department and the finance director. And what I'd like to propose us to look at is, it's termed a hiring freeze, but I want to read what it says because I don't want to scare people. I want to talk about why we're doing it. So basically it says effective January, the Board of Commissioners of Douglas County, the board hereby orders the following. The Douglas County Human Resource Department and Management and Finance Department are no longer authorized to process the hiring of county positions unless the requesting department receives explicit approval from their assigned liaison commissioner. If the requesting department does not have a liaison commissioner, they shall work directly with Human Resource Department to attain potential hiring approval. And this board will be effective until July 1st, 2025. And the reason I bring it forward is, as we have done for the last 10 years, as we go into the budget, we look at every opportunity to be more efficient at the county, and part of that is at times eliminating positions. When we do it in the regular budget cycle, the timing of it is always a challenge around looking at the people that we have, which we've worked very hard to get good people here at the county. We have some of the the best employees we could hope to have. And then you start looking at that position and the person, and it becomes more of a personal thing. What this will allow us to do over the next 6 months, as positions come vacant, as we're looking to refill them, we can actually have a conversation about, is that what's necessary? Is there a way to be more efficient? Do we need that position? Can we restructure a department to eliminate a different position? But it'll let us do that work in real time without the human impact of having to lay off or terminate people when we eliminate positions. So the department heads that are listening, the employees that are listening, please understand this is just an opportunity for the commissioners to work more closely with the department heads and our other elected officials to try to be more strategic in the way we look at the next year's budget. So with that, I'd make a motion to approve the order.
I'll second.
Questions or comments?
I think I understand real quick, and I think I do, but I just wanna make sure it's clear, and I know you said it well, but so currently a department may have a vacant position, it's in their budget, we budgeted for it, but we're asking them, we're telling them in this motion that we're going to ask them to review that with the liaison commissioner before they fill that.
Correct.
Understand?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, that
It's not a no, it's
no,
a.
it's not a
let's
no,
review.
it's just, the challenge we have is if, we're having, as we eliminate positions, let's use an example, somebody, 2 months before the budget's over, they have a vacancy, they hire somebody leaves another job to come to work for the county, or they move from another area to come to work for the county, and then the budget comes out 2 months later and that position's eliminated. That's just not strategic, and it's not, it's just really not very fair to those people that, wanna come to work for us. So what this will allow us to do is have that conversation with our department heads and our fellow elected officials to see if this is, gonna be the position we wanna fill, or maybe it's a vital position for the department, but there's another position, within the department that can be eliminated, and somebody that's in that seat can move, up to a different position. But it'll just allow more of that interaction to occur instead of it all happening just for a budget year. And it's more like you would do in the private sector. And one of the challenges of government budgeting is everything is based upon, a budget in a fiscal year, and it tends to, one thing we've done good here, it tends to have sometimes government agencies feel like if they don't spend it, they lose it. And then this is a, sort of an offshoot of that where we don't want folks to feel like there's an urgency to fill a position, or they may lose it, or they'll fill one that they know is gonna go away anyway. So it has more, it's more of a management tool than a hiring freeze per se, but it's titled hiring freeze for the purpose of making sure folks understand that they're gonna have to have that conversation with their liaison commissioner before we move forward. We have a motion, a second. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce? Chair votes aye and the motion passes. The next agenda item is commissioner comments. Commissioner
I don't have anything today.
Commissioner Boyce?
I wanna go back and revisit that water line project for just a second. I think it's important for people to understand the entire process and how that came to be. When that project began, when Public Works applied for a Federal Lands Access Grant that was going to realign and is going to realign Salmon Harbor Drive going out to the dunes. And the idea there is to take the actual paved road and shift it, if you're headed out to the dunes, to the right along the water's edge, and move the ATV lane, which is currently on that side of the road, to the opposite side of the road where the parks are. Because right now ATVs leaving Windy Cove A and B have to cross the vehicle lanes to the opposite side of the road, travel out to the dunes, and then cross back. Understanding that we're gonna dig up that road over there and move it over and repave it, we started to ask ourselves whether or not there were infrastructure improvements that should be made ahead of time, because we've learned that these utility companies love to cut up new pavement. And
That's easier.
being aware that that water line upgrade needed to happen, we immediately started to work with the city of Reedsport to get the water line replacement done before the road improvement happened, to make sure that we didn't have to cut up new pavement. So we worked with them to get that done. While we were there, we also worked with the sanitation district there to find out if there were improvements that they needed to have made at the same time, and there was a force main that needed to be added to their system, which was gonna allow folks that currently aren't on their system to be able to be added later, should they so choose. So we also made that improvement. At the same time, we were looking for a way to get fiber optic internet out to the public safety shed that's at the Dan Van Slyke staging area. And we worked with Douglas Fastnet, and they adopted the old water main that was in the ground and used it as a conduit to run their fiber optic line through, to save a tremendous amount of money. And now getting the opportunity to have internet out to the public safety building, which is gonna help obviously then the sheriff's department and the ambulance service that runs out of there. So very well thought out project, a lot of moving parts. I appreciate everyone who's been involved. Public Works really got the ball rolling and secured the money. But then the cooperation with the city of Reedsport and the sanitation district and Douglas Fastnet's been fantastic for us on lots of projects. They're very innovative and forward thinking, and we have fiber optic internet in places now that I never would have imagined we would have it, like at Chief Mualita Park, clear out at Galesville Reservoir, and out there on the dunes because of their forward thinking and ability to take advantage of opportunities like this. So it's a project I'm pretty proud of. We've all been involved in it in some capacity. It's not my project by any means, but it's one that we should be proud of.
Well, thank you. All that complication of different organizations and entities is something you spent a lot of time making work and coordinating. So thank you for that effort over there. And as you say, those infrastructure projects get pretty complicated, and timing sometimes is interesting on how they work out. But ultimately, when they're finished, they're in place for a very long time and serve the public for a long time. So thank you for that work. The only thing are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to mention, last month, we had our annual Association of ONC Counties meeting. We had that this year in Salem. And remember, all the ONC counties, all 18 ONC counties are welcome to be present at that meeting. And we represent the ONC land base in all those counties. We have a few counties that are not currently members, but we've got a few that may very well join back up. But during that meeting, we spend quite a bit of time with the BLM state director and his staff, go over what's happened over the last year, what's the plans for next year. This year we had a unique presentation from the Forest Service. A lot of people don't realize the Forest Service manages almost 500,000 acres of ONC land. People, of course, know that the BLM manages the bulk of the ONC land, 2.1 million acres, but 489,000 acres of US Forest Service managed ONC land is not insignificant. So we had a great presentation from the Forest Service. One of the local Aqua National Forest folks came up and did that. We heard from Rob Ferris, who is historically and for quite a while been the #1 purchaser of ONC timber to run through his mills up in Lyons, Oregon. He does some pretty innovative stuff. He has the traditional mills where they're building and making dimensional lumber, but he also does a panel, a big down here. They call it. They do the panel out of 2x6s and 2x8s out of dimensional lumber. Up there, they do these big wood panels out of veneer. So they're able to take a pretty low quality tree and veneer, and they put together these huge panels that are 12 by 24 or even bigger. And these panels are structural panels. They make buildings out of them. They make decking for bridges. One of the big outlets for them is matting down in the south. When they do timber logging projects, it's sort of marshy, and they put these panels down, these wood panels that are 6 or 8 inches thick, and they run the equipment over it. They make a road bed out of them, and then they pull them back out when they're done. So lots of variety of uses. We had done a mill tour of the Ferris Mill building these panels. It's a big, huge building. We went in the wintertime to do a tour a few years ago, and I've been in lots of mills, and I had my big jacket on and walked in there and immediately had to take my jacket off. It was 70 degrees in the mill. And I kept looking around for heating and wondering, how are they heating this building? And they have in-floor heating. They have the water or whatever in the floor that heats the flooring. And I thought, well, what a nice thing to do for their employees. Well, it turns out that process of gluing and laminating the boards together requires the temperature to be pretty close range. So the heating of the building really is a factor of the process of what they're going through, not making it comfortable for the employees. But I will tell you what an amazing comfort that is to go in the middle of winter in a mill and have it, room temperature. And then in the summertime, they run cool water through those same tubes to keep the temperature down in the mill. But the mill is absolutely clean. It's, like many of the engineered wood mills and newer mills where there's, very little dust or dirt anywhere. It had incredible machinery, including CNC machines that take these big panels and cut all the channels for wiring and doors and windows in them. And basically when these panels leave, they are in a state where they are just assembled and bolted together like a big Lego kit. So pretty neat process. He talked a little bit about the challenges of federal timber supply specific to the ONC, but also included a conversation around the Labor Day fires where a lot of their company's timberlands were burnt, and the concern over wood supply in the near and long-term future makes it pretty difficult for industries like his to invest, what is hundreds of millions of dollars into milling infrastructure, not knowing whether they're gonna have wood to run through the mill. And he did a really good job explaining a typical Oregon family-owned business and their involvement in the community. And I could rattle off a whole list of family-owned businesses here in Douglas County that have that same commitment to the community, beyond just their business model of producing wood. Their long-term commitment to a community is profound. And he again, for that area, his dad, him, and his son are all incredibly committed. So it was a good presentation, good meeting. The tail end of that is, of course, approval of our budget and re-election of officers. We had a little change in the officers this year. The last several years, we've had the same slate of officers. This year, our vice president was no longer a commissioner, so we moved the treasurer secretary up to the vice president. We had and that's Craig Pope from Polk County. Had served a long time serving as treasurer secretary, moved to be the vice president. Derek DeGroot from Klamath Counties was elected onto the executive board as the treasurer secretary, and I was reelected as president. So we'll continue to do that work. Some of us executive board members are going, not next week, but the following week, on the 20th, we'll be in Washington DC for the inauguration and an opportunity to start engaging with the new Trump administration. We worked pretty closely with the previous Trump administration, and we're looking forward to making those connections and continuing the conversation around the proper management of the ONC lands. So anything else from my fellow commissioners? With that, I will adjourn the meeting and welcome everybody to the new year.
We gotta reconvene.
Oh, you're right, reconvene. Again, my first meeting. So I'm gonna reconvene really quickly as the 4-H Master Gardener Board. And looks like we have one agenda item. County Council is gonna take care of this.
Tiffany Podlesnik, County Council. This is a board order designating myself as the registered agent for the Douglas County 4-H Master Gardener and Extension District, effective upon the date of execution. The previous registered agent was Paul Meyer, who was the county council before I took over that position. And so I think it's just making sure we stay in line with keeping a registered agent.
Move to approve the board order, and I'll second that.
Motion and second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion passes. And I'll adjourn this meeting. Anything else?